Recently, Prince William has emerged with a new, more prominent role in royal duties. No longer just a shadow behind the scenes, he is starting to take center stage, making frequent appearances at official events and asserting his strong voice within the royal family. Once thought to be someone who would forever live in the shadow of his father, he has now stepped out and stood firmly in the spotlight. William is not only participating, but he's beginning to shape a new future for the British monarchy with a strong and confident leadership style. But no one could have anticipated that Prince William's latest move would be a shock, a political and emotional earthquake within the royal family. This action has brought tears to both King Charles and Queen Camilla, a reaction no one ever imagined would happen. What has caused the royal family to fall into such chaos? Don't forget to leave a comment with the number 1 if you empathize with this story, or number 0 if you have a different opinion. Share your thoughts with us. Make sure to like and subscribe so you won't miss what happens next, where we will reveal all the secrets in this story. In a private meeting at Clarence's house, William stood before the royal advisors who had witnessed countless important decisions throughout the history of the British monarchy. However, they never imagined they would face such a tense and emotional moment. The words William declared were not only a strong challenge to the long-standing traditions of the royal family, but also a statement of his vision for the future of the monarchy. He did not hesitate to speak out, stating that change was inevitable, that the monarchy must evolve to meet the challenges of the modern age, and that no one, not even the closest members of the family, could stand outside this transformation. As he spoke, William's voice was resolute and firm, but beneath it there were strong emotions he struggled to suppress. A revolution of thought, not through opposition or violence, but through determination and ideals to lead the royal family into a new era aligned with the modern world. When William's speech ended, the atmosphere in the room became heavy and stifling. Those present could all feel the unmistakable shift. King Charles, a father who had always placed great expectations on his eldest son, could no longer maintain his usual composure. He bowed his head in silence, tears quietly falling, as if all the expectations and burdens he had placed on William over the years had now turned into an unresolved pain. This was not just disappointment over the change, but an awareness that his power was beginning to fade. At the same time, Queen Camilla, a woman known for her calm and exceptional emotional control for the first time, revealed her true emotions. She silently wiped away the tears on her cheek, a clear expression of pain and disappointment. This moment made it evident that change was taking place strongly within the royal family, and what had once been stable was now incredibly fragile. William was no longer just the heir to the throne. He had become the embodiment of a new era for the British monarchy, with decisions and actions that demonstrated unwavering leadership, determination, and courage. So, what exactly did the future king say that brought tears to the two most powerful figures in the United Kingdom? What decision did he make that now threatens to shake the very foundation of the monarchy? Step outside the cold stone walls of the palace, where a buried truth is beginning to emerge, a truth that could forever alter the future of the British throne. William has never spoken of it publicly, but his gaze, whenever he sees Camilla standing beside his father, says it all. A strange mix of cold disdain and sorrow tightly held in check. A blend of contempt and wounds that will never heal. In William's mind, Camilla was never simply a stepmother. To him, she symbolized betrayal. She was the one who had intruded upon his family, disrupted the fragile moments of happiness that his mother, Princess Diana, had worked so hard to preserve, and in the end crushed those remnants completely. The pain and resentment towards her were rooted deeply, though no one could pinpoint exactly when it had begun. It may have been the night when William was still a young boy that he overheard his mother sobbing behind the closed door of her room, wondering why his father's heart no longer belonged to her. The image of Diana in her vulnerability must have been burned into William's mind that night. It might have been that moment when William first saw the stark difference in the way his father looked at his mother and how he looked at Camilla. His father's gaze was filled with affection for Camilla, while his mother seemed to fade into the background, unappreciated and heartbroken. Perhaps, though, it was the fateful day when news of Diana's tragic car accident spread like a storm across the UK, shaking the nation to its core, that solidified William's anger and pain. The bitter truth that struck William like a lightning bolt was that had it not been for Camilla, his mother might still be alive. It was in that moment when the world mourned Diana's loss that the weight of the past and the role Camilla played in it became unbearable for William. The idea that his mother's life could have been different, that her heartache and struggles could have been avoided, was something William could never reconcile with. For him, Camilla was not just a stepmother, she was the painful reminder of everything he had lost. Camilla did not kill Diana, but in William's eyes, she destroyed the dream of a real family. It was a dream of a happy family, where love and connection could overcome all challenges, a family William had longed for throughout the years. In the memories of a little boy waiting for his mother to return on the steps of Kensington Palace, after glamorous yet tearful evenings, Camilla's presence was never associated with warmth or home, but with the deep loneliness in his heart. The image of his mother sitting alone, isolated and heartbroken, waiting for a love that his father had given to someone else, has haunted William ever since. Camilla, though not directly responsible for Diana's passing, was the one who shattered that dream, who left a young boy's heart wounded and stripped of faith in true love. And now, looking at Camilla's regal position beside King Charles at Buckingham Palace, bestowed with the title of Queen William, cannot help but feel it is a cruel mockery of all the losses he has endured. The title of Queen is not only a recognition of a complicated relationship, but also a constant, inescapable presence in his life, one that can never replace what he once had with Diana. For William, this is not just a shift within the royal family, but a painful reminder of lost memories and wounds that never truly healed. Their conflict was never marked by heated confrontations or shouting matches. Instead, it took the form of a silent war, quiet, but far more intense and consuming. There were no public outbursts or dramatic fallouts, but beneath the surface, the tension simmered constantly. William kept his distance from her during family gatherings, making it clear through his actions that a deep divide existed. When they were forced to appear together, their handshakes were stiff and mechanical, performed more for the sake of protocol than any sense of mutual respect. His eyes, cold and unreadable, often cut through her like a blade, conveying more in a glance than words ever could. The silence between them spoke volumes, a chasm filled with unspoken grievances and unresolved pain. Rumors swirled around private royal events, suggesting that William had on more than one occasion explicitly asked that Camilla not be seated near Catherine. It was as though he felt the need to shield his own family, his wife, his children, from what he perceived to be a toxic presence. This request wasn't just about physical distance. It symbolized a deeper emotional and moral boundary he had drawn. For William, Camilla wasn't merely a difficult figure from the past. She represented a wound that had never fully healed, a reminder of the emotional chaos that had shaped his childhood. In keeping her at arm's length, he was trying to protect the fragile sense of peace he had built for his own family, a peace he feared could be unsettled by her very presence. William has never been one to seek attention or indulge in public displays of emotion. Raised under the strict codes of royal protocol, he was taught from a young age to carry himself with composure, to maintain a calm exterior no matter the circumstances. He was groomed in the art of restraint, trained to smile for cameras, to remain poised even when his personal world was crumbling. Yet no amount of training, no decades of ceremonial discipline could fully suppress the emotions that churned quietly beneath the surface. Behind the carefully constructed image of the dutiful royal lay a man still grappling with wounds from the past, wounds that protocol could never truly heal. According to a source close to the royal household, that long-suppressed pain briefly broke through during a private meeting at Clarence's house. In a rare and deeply emotional moment, William is said to have turned to his father and uttered words heavy with sorrow and accusation. If it weren't for her, Mum wouldn't have died alone like that. It was not a public outburst, not a rehearsed line for the press, but a raw, unfiltered admission of a grief that had never quite left him. In that single sentence, decades of silent conflict, unresolved hurt, and buried resentment found a voice. And for a man trained his whole life to stay silent, that moment said everything. Charles froze. Camilla turned pale. No one dared to say a word. The air in the room grew thick, almost suffocating. But what hurt Charles the most wasn't the accusation itself, it was the brutal truth behind it. Deep down, he knew that William had never truly forgiven him, and perhaps never would. The wound left by Diana's death had never fully healed, and in William's eyes, his father's choices had played a part in that tragedy. The silence that followed William's words was louder than any argument filled with years of emotional distance and unresolved pain. As for Camilla, she had done everything she could to play the role of the devoted wife, the loving grandmother. She smiled. She stood by Charles. Through every storm she tried to extend warmth where there had only been cold. But to William and Harry, she was never stepmother. She was never embraced as part of their family in that way. She was Camilla, only Camilla. A presence they tolerated, perhaps even respected in public, but never fully accepted in their hearts. And that unspoken truth, that quiet rejection, lingered just as painfully as the words that had shattered the room. A cold boundary was drawn on the sand, a boundary that William steadfastly maintained as a sacred, inviolable limit to protect the cherished memory of his late mother. To him, it was not merely a physical or symbolic line, but a form of spiritual self-defense, an invisible barrier separating pain from the bright memories of Diana, the mother he always revered and loved. Every time he walked past Diana's portrait, hanging solemnly on the wall of Kensington Palace, a silent, profound, and unspoken fury welled up inside him. It was an anger directed at those who had hurt the person dearest to him, a torment that haunted him day after day. William always felt clearly that Charles and Camilla were the ones who pushed his mother to the brink of despair, those who not only hurt, but cruelly and inhumanely destroyed Diana's spirit. They gradually suffocated her last remaining hopes, forcing her to endure pain that she could not express. When Diana fell, it was not only a personal collapse, but also a gradual erasure of her presence within royal life. Charles and Camilla hastily wiped away every remaining trace, ascending the throne, as if Diana had never existed, like a ghost forgotten in the past. This only deepened William's resentment, and strengthened his determination to preserve the memories of his mother as an invaluable treasure in his heart. William never spoke these thoughts aloud, but Catherine understood them deeply. She saw it in the distant, sorrowful look in his eyes during family gatherings at Sandringham, where even the warmth of family couldn't soothe the deep pains within him. Catherine noticed it too in the quiet moments when he excused himself from a party without drawing attention, simply because he could not bear Camilla's presence. That invisible tension lingered like an unhealed wound in William's heart, compelling him to keep his distance to protect himself and his small family from old hurts. And just once, while holding their young daughter, William whispered to Catherine a silent vow he never dared to speak aloud. "I will never let her grow up in a family like mine." Those words were more than just a promise. They were a deep scar etched in his soul, a quiet commitment to the past that he would never allow his family's painful history to repeat itself. William was determined to protect the home he and Catherine had built, never letting another Camilla break it apart. That was why he always kept his distance, not only from Camilla, but from anything that reminded him of that painful past. There exists a wide gap between William and Camilla, a distance that no royal gala or media campaign could ever bridge. Despite outward efforts to maintain harmony deep down, that divide remains a solid barrier impossible to overcome. This gap is not merely a personal matter, but symbolizes the profound disagreements between two generations within the royal family, where ideals and perceptions about their roles and positions within the monarchy are continually being challenged. Ironically, this conflict is not just a personal struggle between William and Camilla, but a symbolic clash of differing viewpoints. On one side are Charles and Camilla, individuals driven by personal desires and ambitions, often at the cost of public trust. On the other side stands William, who shoulders the immense responsibility of restoring the monarchy's image while protecting the legacy of the mother he reveres. This confrontation is not only an internal battle, but also a reflection of the changes and challenges the British monarchy faces in the modern era. To the public, William embodies dignity, loyalty, and above all, a silent mourning for what might have been. He represents not only the next generation of the monarchy, but also carries the heavy responsibility of preserving and passing on the core values left behind by his mother, Diana. William's steadfast devotion to protecting his mother's image and legacy has made him a deeply emotional symbol admired by many around the world. Meanwhile, Camilla may have earned the title of Queen, a position of great power and prestige within the royal family, but in William's heart, she will never truly reign. That crown, invisible yet eternal, will always belong to another woman, Diana Spencer, the woman he once called Mother, who left an indelible mark on his life and heart. Diana's presence lives on, transcending titles and authority, becoming an everlasting symbol in William's heart and in the hearts of those who believe in the true value of love and loyalty. The woman who gently kissed his forehead every night, the mother William always remembered and deeply loved. Yet she left this world alone, betrayed and broken, because the love meant for her was stolen too soon, leaving an unfillable void in his heart. That sense of loss was not just a physical separation, but a lingering emotional pain that William could never ease. And deep within, in the quietest, most hidden corners of his soul, he remains haunted by those agonizing questions. What if? William often wonders what might have happened if his father had never loved Camilla. What if Diana had never been abandoned, never suffered to the point of breaking? If his family had never endured those painful fractures and separations, would they be whole as they are now? Would his mother have been there to witness her grandchildren growing up wrapped in love and care? Would she have been there to see him ascend the throne proud and smiling? But all of that exists only in imagination, for reality never allowed it, because Camilla came into the picture and changed everything. That day, the palace seemed to stand still. Everything unfolded like any other royal engagement ceremony, with a solemn atmosphere and traditional rituals. Flags fluttered gently against the clear blue sky, the fresh air mingled with soft music, and the ceremonies were carried out meticulously. Buckingham Palace was adorned in its most splendid decoration, with rows of fresh white roses lining the courtyard, and Union Jack flags flying high on tall flagpoles. Inside the Grand Hall, dignitaries from across the Commonwealth gathered, filling the space with polite conversation and the gentle clicking of cameras. The royal attendants moved swiftly, ensuring every detail was perfect, as the entire event was designed to honor the continuity and stability of the monarchy. However, amid this solemn scene, something was amiss. Prince William made an unusual request that caught everyone's attention. He wanted to speak privately. What was particularly notable was that this conversation was not to be with King Charles or Camilla, but with him alone. This request created an undercurrent of tension, revealing deep conflicts and unspoken issues within the royal family that the outwardly formal ceremonies could not conceal. They said it was just a short speech, nothing major. But those within the royal family were not so easily convinced. In a world where every moment is meticulously scripted and every word pre-approved, William's solitary appearance and his request raised many eyebrows. As he stood near the throne, the atmosphere grew tense. The royal aides held their breath. They had seen that expression before, the same look his mother once wore when she unexpectedly stepped off the prepared script. Calm, determined, unwavering, a clear display of strong will and resolve. Their concerns were justified, for that moment beneath the gilded ceiling of Buckingham Palace was not just a captured photograph. It marked the beginning of something no one anticipated, a turning point that would shake the foundation of the royal establishment's usual business. A royal aide was said to have whispered under their breath, "Something is about to change. You can feel it." Those words echoed like a prophecy of the coming upheaval, signaling that everything was about to turn a new page with no return to the way things had been. And they could completely understand that concern for what happened next shook the monarchy to its core. A single voice, calm yet powerful, changed everything. When Prince William began to speak, his tone was very calm, almost too calm given the circumstances. There was no grandiosity, no dramatic gestures, no flowery language, yet every word he uttered was heavy with meaning, causing everyone present to pause and listen intently. In an instant, it became clear that this was not just an ordinary speech. It was a powerful, symbolic declaration. William spoke not only of the royal family's legacy, but also emphasized the necessity of change. He stressed that while the past is important, the future must be built on new values to ensure the survival and development of the monarchy in the modern age. William shared a profound perspective on how the crown should not merely be a symbol placed above, but should truly move among the people close and connected to their lives. It was the image of a monarchy that listens, walks alongside, and serves the people with sincerity and humility. This was not just symbolic rhetoric, but a fundamental shift in the understanding of the role and responsibilities of the royal institution in modern society. Following this was a pivotal moment in his speech when William announced the beginning of a new royal framework built on transparency, dedicated service, and shared leadership. In a move that stunned the entire hall, he declared the establishment of a modern advisory council, including Princess Anne, Prince Edward, and Catherine, the Princess of Wales, taking on expanded roles in official royal duties. This event was not only symbolic, but also represented a structural change, marking a significant step forward in reshaping the future of the monarchy. Then the real shock came with the king's blessing. William was about to begin stepping into a semi-regent role. He didn't call it that explicitly, but the message was clear and unmistakable. From now on, William would lead many of the crown's daily public functions both domestically and internationally, gradually taking on responsibilities that had long been prepared for him. A royal commentator later remarked, "It's quiet but revolutionary. This transfer of power happened subtly and discreetly, yet it carried profound significance, ushering in a new chapter for the monarchy." However, one thing remained: an important name was still missing, a crucial piece yet to be revealed in this changing picture. There was one person who was never mentioned once: Camilla. That silence spoke louder than any speech ever could. It was a clear absence and undeniable collapse of Camilla's presence in the future vision of the monarchy. As William continued to outline the prospects for a modern monarchy, the things left unsaid, the hidden truths, could not be overlooked. Camilla, the queen consort, who for many years had been seen as a prominent partner within the crown, was completely absent from the new plans. No titles were mentioned, no royal duties assigned, not even a word of thanks. That absence was not just a sign, but a silent declaration of her position and future within the new monarchy that William was shaping. Observers watched as Camilla's expression shifted. At first, she sat still, listening intently, but then her eyes began to flutter. She gripped the program in her lap. She shifted in her seat. Her face grew pale, and then she slumped forward. Not an abrupt fainting, but unmistakable. Her body fell forward. The palace medical staff rushed to her side. King Charles stood up in panic. His voice choked on a single word. Camilla's gasping breath echoed throughout the room. The cameras were still rolling, capturing every second. Within minutes, the medical team was at her side. She was lifted onto a stretcher and quietly escorted out. And just like that, the celebration turned into a crisis. The queen consort, expected to help lead the event, was now reduced to a character being erased from history in real time. A palace source later revealed that it wasn't just the tension. She felt erased, as if she no longer had a place in the future William was planning. And while the world reeled from the aftermath, Buckingham Palace went into full damage control. But William, he didn't bat an eye. The shockwaves rippled through the palace. In the hours following the ceremony, Buckingham Palace was anything but calm. Phones rang incessantly, press staff rushed to the scene, and royal advisors were locked in private meetings until late into the night. King Charles, who had already been facing various health issues, appeared visibly stunned by the recent developments. Some within the inner circle believed he was completely caught off guard by the swift and decisive changes made by his son. Meanwhile, others whispered that he had been warned beforehand, but simply couldn't believe William would actually take such bold steps. The king's surprise and confusion clearly reflected the simmering tensions within the royal household. Now, the crown is confronting more than just public relations challenges. It is staring into a deep internal fissure. Questions and rumors began to spread was Camilla deliberately being excluded from the future plans of the monarchy. The silence surrounding her role has become the focal point of suspicion and discussion, creating an undeniable atmosphere of tension among members of the royal family. Was this a calculated move by William to sideline Camilla, or was there something happening behind the scenes that no one spoke of? Such questions began to circulate widely within the media and royal circles. A senior aide told a British newspaper that William fully understood the deep significance of his speech. He knew exactly who would be hurt by it, yet he chose to proceed regardless. This determination stunned many observers. Some called it bold leadership, demonstrating strong will and clear vision. Others condemned it as betrayal, a break from tradition, and a slight against other royal family members. Regardless of the differing opinions, one thing was clear: the palace was no longer unified. The divisions were becoming increasingly apparent, and the underlying power struggles within the royal family were more visible than ever before. Two paths were forming, one behind King Charles, one behind William, and one somewhere in between. Camilla had fallen from grace. But what drove William to go this far? What was the real reason behind his quietly powerful rebellion? To understand that, we need to go back to Diana. William's true intentions weren't impulsive. Sources indicate this change had been in the works for months, possibly longer. And at the heart of it all was one person, Princess Diana. Diana's influence had never truly left William. Her values of compassion, accessibility, and emotional honesty were deeply ingrained in him. If you're curious about the real reason behind Prince William's powerful shift and how Princess Diana's influence is at the heart of it all, hit that like button, share your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more exclusive royal insights. Many believe that William's decision to restructure the monarchy was his way of honoring his mother, who left the world too soon. This move was not simply a political maneuver or a formal change, but a profound expression of respect and loyalty to Diana's legacy. A royal historian once stated clearly and decisively, this was not just a speech. It was a strategic recalibration, a silent response to everything Diana represented and to all that the establishment had overlooked or ignored. William sees the crown not merely as a relic of the past, a symbol deeply rooted in history, but as a living institution that must serve the present and the future. To him, the monarchy must adapt, evolve, and grow to truly provide value to today's society while maintaining the dignity and honor it embodies. Therefore, William's decision was not only the act of an heir apparent, but also a commitment to the past and a promise to the future. For years, he has watched traditions hinder progress. Now, with Charles's health uncertain and the public increasingly distancing themselves from the monarchy, he saw an opportunity and seized it. That meant change, big change, including stripping power from those he felt no longer reflected the crown's values, including Camilla. To some, William's actions appeared as rebellion, a challenge to long-standing traditions and power structures. But for William, it was something entirely different. It was not blind defiance, but a restoration, an effort to reclaim and revive the vision his mother once had for the monarchy. He aimed to bring Diana's image and values back to the heart of the royal institution, hoping to build a monarchy more fitting for a new era. However, in doing so, he inadvertently unsettled and broke the vision his father had been pursuing, sparking inevitable conflicts. The story truly begins to unfold in the next chapter, where Camilla's quiet rise clashes with a very public downfall. For over 2 decades, Camilla fought in a battle few could see, and even fewer expected her to win. Her rise and fall is not just a tale of power, but a testament to the deep-seated conflicts and complex internal struggles within the royal family, a world where things are rarely as orderly or polished as the public facade suggests. From being the public's #1 enemy to becoming Queen Camilla's transformation was nothing short of astonishing. She endured relentless public scrutiny, private pain, and constant comparisons to Princess Diana, Prince William's late mother. Yet through it all, she remained steadfast and resolute, refusing to let outside pressures shake her resolve. For her, this was a defining moment, an opportunity to prove herself and her place within the royal world. Behind the palace gates, Camilla finally stepped into the spotlight she had long awaited. Standing beside King Charles, she was not merely his spouse, but a central and influential figure within the monarchy. This was no longer a secondary or silent role, but an official recognition of her power and importance within the royal apparatus, opening a new chapter filled with both challenges and possibilities. She had earned her title, some believed, through resilience and grace. But to others, including Prince William, that title was never truly hers to keep. When William announced his vision for the monarchy's future and her name was excluded, it wasn't just an oversight. It was a clear message. Her time at the heart of royal life was over. A former royal reporter shared, Camilla climbed to the summit only to have the tragedy yanked from under her as she reached the peak. It wasn't just emotional, it was structural. She wasn't just ignored, she was erased. And that's painful. The collapse in William's speech, many now believe, wasn't merely due to stress or exhaustion. It was the emotional climax of years of pressure. Camilla had spent a great deal of time trying to fit into the rigid mold of the monarchy, constantly striving to prove herself worthy within the royal palace. However, her efforts seemed to fall short as she once again found herself pushed outside the boundaries of the ongoing changes. Public reaction was sharply divided. Some expressed sympathy, sensing the loneliness and pressure she endured, while many others believed that her downfall and loss of status were inevitable, a natural consequence of history and fate. Behind the palace's closed walls, one thing became clear: Queen Camilla had been excluded from the new vision that William and his allies were constructing for the crown. This raises an important question about King Charles's true position and role in this context. Is he still holding real control, or is the monarchy now increasingly governed quietly from behind the scenes? To understand better, we must look deeper into the man behind the crown and unravel the growing questions surrounding his authority and power. A king with no command. King Charles has always been a man of tradition, raised to inherit the throne, trained to preserve its legacy, not break it. But as the world around him changes, it seems that his power is beginning to slip away. After William's speech and Camilla's collapse, palace advisors were divided. Some insist the king knew of this plan. Others believe he was completely blindsided. Either way, it's clear that William's voice now echoes louder in the royal chambers than his father's. A senior royal source told a British publication the king still wears the crown, but his son is calling the shots. That moment symbolized an unspoken but unmistakable shift in the balance of power within the royal family. Behind the palace's closed doors, the atmosphere grew tense with heated discussions. Advisors and family members debated whether King Charles should step forward to reassert his authority and status in the face of the changes led by William, or quietly and gracefully allow the power transition to unfold. This choice was not only about Charles's future, but carried profound implications for the stability and image of the entire monarchy. While some feared that opposing William's vision and plans might cause serious damage to the already fragile monarchy, others believed that if Charles conceded too soon, he would lose his own legacy before it even began. They argued that yielding might reduce him to a secondary figure in his own reign, diminishing his voice and influence in royal history. This debate was about more than power. It was about honor, legacy, and the future of the monarchy they all sought to preserve. But for Charles, it's more personal than political. This isn't just about the crown. It's about his family, about watching his wife being humiliated in public, about seeing his son seize power not through force, but with calm precision. He has faced rebellion before, but never from within. And as his closest allies debated the next steps, one thing was clear. The palace was no longer speaking with one voice. It whispers behind closed doors, torn between loyalty and evolution. But while the halls of power tremble, something else is changing the very symbol of the monarchy itself. Because Camilla's collapse isn't just about one person, it's about a system on the brink. Her fall has shifted the monarchy. There are moments in royal history that are not only captured by cameras, but are etched deeply into the public memory because of the profound meaning they carry. The collapse of Camilla is one such moment. It was not merely the sight of the Queen stumbling forward that shocked the public, but more importantly, what that moment symbolized: the breakdown of a long-standing system maintained by strict hierarchy and seemingly unshakable stability. That moment became a symbol of a system buckling under the irresistible pressure of pent-up emotions and simmering internal conflicts within the royal family. It revealed not only the fragility of the monarchy, but also exposed deep cracks in the power structure and long-standing tensions that royal tradition had never openly acknowledged. It was the image of a dynasty undergoing a painful internal crisis, capturing the public's attention and forcing reflection on the inevitable changes ahead. For the first time in recent memory, the monarchy no longer seems stable. It looks fragile. Medical staff later described it as acute stress. But those inside the palace had a deeper insight. She didn't just faint. An aide said she had broken. Something inside her had snapped. Camilla, once a symbol of endurance, had become a symbol of the past breaking down in real time. Her collapse reflected something larger that a new era will no longer be. It spread across social media. The footage of Camilla's collapse spread like wildfire across social media. Hashtags like Royally Reckoning and Monarchy Shift quickly trended worldwide, drawing millions of views and comments. Commentators around the globe declared it the end of an era for the old guard, an inevitable shift in the power structure and image of the monarchy. This time, even the most loyal royal supporters found themselves unsure how to defend or justify what had happened, deepening the rift within the public's perception. Inside the palace's closed walls, the damage was not merely one of public relations, but a profound emotional loss. The event shook the very spiritual foundation of the royal family, marking a painful turning point in their history. Unresolved conflicts, growing pains, and increasing discord created an atmosphere heavier than ever before within the palace. This was not just a crisis of image, but a crisis of trust and affection among the royal family members themselves. Staff who had supported Camilla through her rise were now watching her quietly pushed aside. Her schedule was said to have been cleared for weeks. No public appearances, no statements, just silence. It was as though the royal institution was shifting away from her. But not everyone mourned that moment. For many young people following the royal story, Camilla's collapse was not just a shocking event, but a sign of a change they had long hoped for. It represented a breaking away from a rigid past, opening the door to a more modern image of the monarchy, one that resonates better with younger generations. While tradition remains strictly preserved behind the palace's closed doors, the world outside has changed rapidly, with young people ready to embrace a fresh, transparent, and more open image. Notably, no official words were spoken about the monarchy's future, yet Camilla's downfall instantly became the focus of a public frenzy. Catherine, the Princess of Wales, became the center of attention, amid strong public reactions and a fierce wave of chaos on social media. Within minutes of the event, social media transformed Buckingham Palace into a digital battlefield, where comments, debates, and analyses unfolded in real time, reflecting an unprecedented shift in how the monarchy is observed and judged in 2025. Twitter exploded with fiery comments. TikTok edits juxtaposed William's bold speech with Camilla's faded image. YouTube creators called it the moment everything changed. The public was divided. Some expressed deep sympathy, saying the Queen was unfairly erased after years of service. Others are far less forgiving, viewing the event as karmic retribution, the inevitable outcome of years of silent maneuvering behind the palace walls. To them, the covert schemes and manipulations set in motion a chain of events that made Camilla's downfall unavoidable. A tweet quickly went viral with a biting message: "Diana left so Catherine could rise. Camilla fell so the monarchy could evolve." Harsh as it sounds, this sentiment resonates deeply with a significant portion of the public today. This event has become a symbol of the deep generational divide within society, a rift that has never been clearer to the public eye. Diverging views on the roles of royal family members, especially Camilla, have come to the forefront more than ever. It is not merely a personal conflict, but a struggle between traditional values and the need for renewal between the monarchy's past and its future. Young people have shown strong support for the new direction, led by William and Catherine, seeing it as a sign of renewal and hope for the monarchy's future. They desire a more modern, transparent, and connected royal family. In contrast, older audiences express concern about the rapid pace of change and the pain that this transition seems to bring. For them, abandoning long-standing traditions is difficult to accept, and they fear that the current upheavals could shake the foundations built over centuries. Inside the palace, the atmosphere grew tense and pressured. What began as a carefully orchestrated ceremonial event quickly turned into a chaotic media circus. Royal advisors rushed to draft response statements, debating relentlessly whether to clarify Camilla's current status publicly or let the news cycle run its course, waiting to see how events would unfold. Everyone was aware that any move would have profound effects on the monarchy's image and future. But the headlines didn't stop. The Queen fainted as William reshaped the monarchy. A divided palace questioning who really holds the power. The world was watching not only to see what had happened, but what would happen next. And while the public dissected every frame of Camilla's collapse, another figure quietly rose from the shadows, her presence more powerful than any speech. Catherine stepped up amid the noise, calm, graceful, and unwavering. Princess Catherine. Just days after the chaos at Buckingham Palace, she appeared at a small pre-scheduled charity event. No grand statements, no heavy gestures, just Catherine standing before the crowd in royal blue, speaking softly and clearly. Her message was simple. The future is about unity serving together. In those 7 words, she did what no press release or palace memo could. She reassured the stunned public that the monarchy stood strong, moving forward, staying connected, and that everyone was listening online. The reaction came immediately. Clips of her speech went viral. Fans dubbed her the quiet anchor of the royal family. Others said she had officially stepped into her destiny not just as a future queen, but as the public heart of the new monarchy. Inside the palace walls, her presence sent another message, one that could not be ignored. As Camilla fades into the background, Catherine steps into the spotlight not aggressively, not loudly, but with the same strategic grace that has defined her rise since day one. As one royal commentator noted, Catherine doesn't claim power. She earns it through patience, dignity, and unshakable calm. And now, as the monarchy stares into an uncertain future, all eyes are no longer on Charles or even William. They are on her because the crown is changing, and she has worn it in everything but name. Behind closed doors, the quiet battle unfolds as the public watches the events with fascination. Inside Buckingham Palace, the mood is quite different. Tense, uneasy, and deeply divided. What was once a carefully controlled and rigorously maintained monarchy now resembles a divided household. The traditional cohesion seems fractured, and a tense atmosphere pervades every corner of the palace. Senior aides work tirelessly to keep things under control amid the dizzying changes. Important meetings often stretch into the late hours, where royal members and advisors strive to find direction amid prolonged chaos and instability. For the first time in many years, decisions are no longer made clearly from the top down, but rather emerge from a vague middle ground where power is neither clear nor transparent. A member of the royal family once described this situation as a system without a clear leader, where power is passed through silence and unspoken agreements. This creates an environment rife with uncertainty and increasingly visible internal struggles. King Charles is reportedly exhausted, still reeling from Camilla's collapse and the global attention it garnered. While he has tried to maintain composure in public privately, he is struggling to regain control. His power, already limited by health issues, is now overshadowed by William's growing influence. Behind the scenes, 2 factions are forming, one loyal to Charles, adhering to traditional slow reforms, and the other backing William, advocating for swift and sweeping modernization. In the middle are those who are watching, waiting, and whispering. The old guard is dissolving. What about Camilla? Her presence around the palace has been quietly diminished. Her schedule has been cleared. Her public appearances are indefinitely suspended. No official statements, only rumors of rest, recovery, and retreat. Meanwhile, William has stepped into larger roles, attending foreign briefings, leading diplomatic calls, overseeing crucial domestic matters with Catherine. It's no longer just symbolic. It's action. The royal family has entered a new phase, a phase where the king still wears the crown, but the power is clearly shifting. However, through all the whispers and late-night conversations, an undeniable truth has lingered within the palace walls. Something far greater is quietly unfolding, a powerful, irreversible wave of change. This movement cannot be contained by any title, tradition, or ceremony. It is a historic step forward, signaling the end of an era and the beginning of a new chapter in the monarchy. What was once regarded as the quiet rise of a new generation is now increasingly apparent as a nominal transfer of the crown. And before long, from members of parliament to ordinary citizens in the streets, everyone will be asking the same crucial question: who will truly lead the monarchy in this new era? This shift in power is not merely symbolic, but a sign of a profound reshaping of the kingdom. Has the next king already ascended the throne without an official coronation, like a crown quietly being passed on? For centuries, the British monarchy has weathered countless storms, from political upheavals and wars to abdications and devastating scandals. But what is unfolding now carries a completely different feeling. There is no fanfare, no explosive drama, only a quiet yet irreversible shift taking place. William's speech wasn't a rebellion or an act of defiance. It was a signal, a powerful message that the old ways are no longer sufficient to meet the challenges of a new era. Being a member of the royal family is no longer just about preserving tradition. It now demands transparency, service, and a modern vision, because only through evolution can the crown truly survive and thrive. It must carry practical, modern, humane meaning and foster a deep connection with society. And perhaps most importantly, it is not a request for permission or approval, but a clear statement about the direction the monarchy will take in the future. As one royal analyst noted, the transition has begun. It's just that the institution has yet to officially acknowledge it. The old ways no longer function effectively, demanding fundamental changes in how the institution operates. The monarchy is no longer the same as before. Power has shifted, roles have been redefined, and key figures who once stood at the center, like Camilla, have gradually faded into the shadows within a new vision of a modern monarchy. This marks a crucial turning point where transparency, accountability, and service become the essential pillars, reshaping the entire face of the institution. The woman who spent decades climbing to the highest position she could now, in many ways, is a ghost in the palace corridors, not officially removed, but no longer included. This is not about cruelty. This is about inevitability. And William, he didn't wait for an official moment to step in. He has acted as the head of the family in practice, managing critical international affairs, coordinating with Commonwealth leaders, and redefining the royal priorities on his own terms. And standing beside him, Catherine is steady, polished, and easily associated with the not-so-secret weapon of the monarchy. With the king slowly stepping back and Camilla quietly moving aside, the royal spotlight now shines fully on William and Kate. Together, they represent the future of the monarchy, not just in terms of bloodline, but in style, presence, and public support. And for the people of Britain, especially the younger generation, this is a welcome change. So, has the crown officially changed hands? The answer is no. Official power still rests with King Charles, and the ceremonies and rituals continue as before. But the more important question is whether the weight of the crown, the symbol of power and responsibility, has truly been transferred. And the answer to that is quite different. That transfer of power, though not officially declared, is happening quietly, but undeniably, day by day, step by step. With every move, every decision, and every speech by Prince William, this change becomes clearer and harder to deny. It raises a big question that everyone is wondering about, whether they say it out loud or not. Has the new monarch truly arrived? Legally and ceremonially, Charles remains king. That is the official and recognized path. But in reality, and in the hearts of the public, a transfer of power is unfolding in its own way, ushering in a new chapter for the monarchy. The coronation took place with all the solemnity and traditional ceremonies expected from one of the most important historical events of the British monarchy. The oath of allegiance was powerfully proclaimed, witnessed by thousands of guests, and the public marking the official moment King Charles assumed the responsibility of leading the nation. The shining crown, a symbol of power and duty, was placed upon his head in a solemn ritual continuing centuries-old traditions. All of this created a strong image of stability and continuity for the monarchy in an age of change. However, if you look deeper beyond the outward gestures and ceremonies, the truth behind the unspoken carries a completely different meaning. Although Charles remains the official king by law and tradition in reality, power and influence are being transferred in another way, not through legal procedures or formal ceremonies, but through cultural strength, public presence, and emotional influence exerted by William. He is not just the heir. He has become a new symbol of leadership guiding the monarchy in the minds and hearts of the modern public. William's rule is not based on documents or legality, but on the spiritual power and profound impact he creates in contemporary society. He has become the face, the voice, and the center of the monarchy. A senior royal commentator is said to have remarked, "The king signs the papers, but the world listens to William." The change did not happen overnight. It began with quiet appearances, subtle shifts, then speeches restructuring and the collapse of Camilla. And now it is undeniable. Charles may still sit on the throne, but William has stepped into the role of king in every way that matters, and the world has taken notice. Global leaders are reaching out to William first. Public approval ratings show strong preference for him and Catherine over the current monarch. Even within the imposing walls of the palace, William's inner circle moves with a confidence and authority that once belonged exclusively to a reigning king. There is a palpable shift in the air, a quiet but undeniable assertion of power and direction. This new energy signals that William's influence is no longer just behind the scenes, it is shaping the very future of the monarchy. His team acts decisively and with purpose, embodying a sense of control and certainty that suggests a transition is already underway, whether officially recognized or not. Amidst this growing change, an unsettling question lingers, one that has quietly haunted England for many years, but now resonates louder than ever before. What fate awaits Camilla once William truly ascends the throne? Will she continue to stand beside the king, honored with the title of queen consort as tradition might dictate? Or will she find herself gradually pushed aside, fading into the background, as a shadow from a past that William has long wished to leave behind? Unlike his father, William's approach is different, more resolute, more deliberate, and this looming uncertainty about Camilla's role highlights the profound transformation taking place within the royal family. He does not forget and certainly does not forgive. Every action he takes is calculated deliberately but coldly. He may smile for the public. He may call Camilla the queen when the ceremony demands it. But when the crown is officially placed on his head, a silent calculation may begin. No grand announcements, no confrontations, just a quiet decision behind palace walls, and Camilla may fade from the heart of royal power as though she never truly belonged there. The history of the British monarchy is no stranger to ruthless reforms and coldly calculated abdications. And if anyone understands the weight of an unhealed wound, it's William. Time may blur many things, but not the pain etched into the heart of a son who lost his mother. So what do you think? Will Camilla continue to reign, or will she be ruthlessly pushed aside by her husband's son? This is definitely a dramatic question that many are still waiting for an answer to. If this story has sparked your curiosity, don't forget to leave a comment with the number 1 if you sympathize with Camilla, or number 0 if you have a different opinion. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this video interesting, make sure to hit like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss the latest updates on the British royal family. Thank you for watching today's video, and I'll see you in the next one.